Hey everyone, welcome back to Code Noticed, and this is the lecture 1 of our Git and GitHub course. So there are a lot of topics that will be covered in today's video, and we are going to learn about the differences between the distributed and central version control system. We are also going to learn how to install Git on Windows, and we are also going to learn how to configure Git for the first time. So without wasting any more time, let's begin. So before we start off, we need to understand what is a distributed version control system and how is it different from the centralized version control system. So distributed version control system is a sample architecture in which the complete code base along with the changes that are being made and its full version history is replicated into every developer's computer which is connected to the repository. And one of such example is Git. Git is an example of distributed version control system and is very popular. Distributed version control system is nowadays very popular among the technocrats. So you need to understand the key differences, how it differs from the centralized version control system, which will be coming in the next slide. So in centralized version control system, one needs to connect to a master repository which contains the list of the version or the stack of the version of the software changes that have been made, and the client needs to get the code from the master repository on the server. So any failure on the server end might have a very wrong impact on the development phase, whereas you might lose some changes, you might lose some of your work. So this is very very critical in terms of development. So this is why distributed version control is preferred more over centralized version control. And some of the examples of centralized version control systems are Rational ClearCase from IBM, we have Twin Studio from Microsoft if I'm not wrong, and it's not like that centralized version control system is not being used. It's just that distributed version control system is being giving more preference to. Okay, so we'll be jumping right into the installation, but before that we need to understand that when you are configuring Git for the first time, you need to specify some certain things. You need to specify your name and email, you need to specify the default text editor. By default Git recommends you Vim, but I'll not recommend you to use Vim for the first time. As you are a beginner, you should switch to something like VS Code, and then you should be knowing about the line endings. So line endings differ in Windows and Mac. They are both different in Windows and Mac. We'll come to know about all these things in the practical session where I'll be discussing about these things. And yes, there are certain level of configuration which you need to be aware of. The first level of configuration is the system, which means all users will have the same settings saved into their system. The global means that all the repositories of a single user will have the same settings saved, and then the local will be the set of settings that will be only subjected to a single repository. So that's all for the theoretical part. Now we'll be jumping into the practical session. So yeah, let's begin. So for installing Git, it's very easy. Just open your favorite browser and then type here Git. The first link, you click on it, and then you will find here downloads. Just click on it, and then here click on Windows, and then your download will get started. Here you can see I'm being asked to save the setup file of Git 2.32. I'll save this file, okay, and it will get downloaded. So just wait a couple of seconds till it gets downloaded. Okay, here it's downloaded now. So installing Git is pretty easy. I'll just go to my downloads folder and then right click here and run as administrator, and then click here yes, and then it will ask for my permission. I'll click here next, 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 next. I'll just keep the settings just as it is. I'll not make any changes, and then install. Okay, so this will install Git for me, and after installation I'll configure Git for the first time. So yeah, that's it. You can skip this part if you want to. So here you can see it has finished my installation, and now I'll click here to, okay, I can check it out later, the release notes. Now if I need to open Git, launch Git, I just have to open my command prompt, okay, and then write here git. Okay, here you can see Git is added to my path by default, so I don't need to do anything. I just have to what do you say, I just have to configure Git now. Okay, that I'll do. So before starting off with the configuration thing, you need to understand that Git offers configuration on 3 levels: system, global, and then local. We'll start with the global settings, so that our every repository has the same settings, and we can change them after if we are not satisfied with the settings, and we can change them anytime we like, so we don't have to worry about anything. So for the configuration settings, you have to write some commands which you might want to learn them. You have to memorize them, otherwise you will forget, and there is no point in forgetting such easy commands. Okay, so you have to write here, the first command is git config, and then hyphen hyphen global, the level of configuration that you are going to use, and then you have to specify the name of the user. So in my case it will be user dot name, and then under double quote you have to write the name. So in my case I will write code northeast. Okay, and then enter. Okay, so the name has been specified, and then you need to specify the mail. So in that case you have to write here user dot email, and then you don't need double quotation. Just a second guys, you don't need here double quotation because there is no space in email. So I'll write here like this: I am October 2019 @gmail.com. .com. Okay, so I'm done here. I'll press enter, and then I have to write here the default editor. I have to set the default editor, so I'll write here git config. Okay, and then just a second, global, and then user dot I think it is code dot editor, and then I will mention my text editor, which in my case is Visual Studio Code. Let me check if I am having VS Code. Yes, I am having VS Code. So, and my VS Code is added to my path, so I'll just write here code and halt it like this, wait. Okay, so I have set my default code text editor. By default Git will let you use Vim, but there is no point in using Vim as a beginner. And then I'll write here something like if I want to suppose edit my settings, I'll write here something like git config global. Let's go with global, and then e. Okay, this will let me edit my settings. So it will invoke my VS Code with the settings configuration file of Git. let's wait a couple of seconds and then just see. Okay, my VS Code is being launched here, and hopefully I'll have the configuration file. Let's see. So here you can see my git config file is here, and the mail has been set, the name has been set. Let me increase the font size a bit. Okay, so my mail has been set, so is my name. Then I have selected my editor as code. Okay, so there is one more thing that you need to keep in mind before using Git. You just have to do one thing. You just have to set the configuration for handling lines of code. Setting lines of code configuration is very important in Git. Suppose your one developer is developing in a Mac environment, whereas the other developer is developing in Windows platform. So there will be two different commands for both of them, and it's very important to set this thing. So you'll write this command like git config and then something like global. Then you have to write here code dot auto crlf, and then you have to write here true for Windows, and for Mac you have to write here, just a second, to write here input. So we are on a Windows machine, so we'll write here true and then press enter. Okay, so this is how you configure your Git for the first time, and yeah, the configuration is pretty much done. You don't have to worry about anything else. Either way, if you are stuck, you can use git help. I think yes, you have to mention here config help, and just wait. Yes, so you will be offered here help. You can see here an HTML page has been loaded. So this is a manual page where you can find all your help. You don't have to worry about a single thing here. So, and if you want the simpler version of this thing, you just have to write here H, I guess. Okay, so you'll have here all the information related to your configuration. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. In the next video we'll know about various commands in Git, and yeah, we'll continue with the session. Okay, so anyone who has not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. It will help us a lot in growing as an collective. So yeah, I'll see you next time.